Oh, Jolt! Hey, what up, guys? So you ever have to do something and you don't think you're ready to do it? Like maybe somebody asks you to do something, or a teacher wants you to go do like a project, and you're like, ah, or you have to go present a project at school, and you're like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I think if we're honest, it happens more often than we want to think it does, right? Like we have to do something and we're not ready. The first time I ever had to speak or teach about the Bible in front of people, I was so not ready. I was terrified. I wasn't even sure I was going to be doing it that day, but my youth pastor at the time was like, hey, Brandon, go up on stage. And I was like, okay, go up on stage. And he's like, oh, hey, teach. And I was like, oh. Today's Bible story is about some guys that had something similar happen to them, where they weren't really sure, am I ready for this or am I not ready for this? And it's hard to know when you're ready. Our story starts right at the very beginning of when Jesus is doing his public ministry. When he starts going around and teaching and healing people and doing miracles. So nobody really knew who he was yet. He'd done a couple little things, but no one really knew who he was yet. And he leaves his hometown and he goes and starts living in a city by a lake, which sounds awesome. Sign me up. And he sees these two guys out fishing. Now, not fishing like with their fishing pole, like fishing with big nets in the boat. You put it down, you catch a whole bunch of fish. Like this was their job. This was what they were going to be doing with their life, was catching fish. And there were two guys that had met Jesus a little bit earlier, and like, yeah, I think I want to follow that guy, but they went back and they're still living their life. So Jesus sees them and he yells out to them in the boat, hey, come on, come follow me, and I'm gonna make you fish for people. What? Fish for people? Like they're gonna take their nets and run around town catching fish? That sounds mean. Don't do that. What did Jesus mean? I'm gonna have you fish for people? And these two guys, they're on their boat, and at this point in their life, they're probably like your middle-age-ish kind of person. And they're just starting out on this job. They just finished school. Yeah, imagine that, finishing school at your age. Woohoo! Starting your job. And Jesus says, quit your job, come fish for people. What do you think they did? Some of you heard this story, you already know. But for those of you that haven't heard this story, what do you think they did? How did they feel? Were they like, yeah? Or were they like, this guy's nuts? Well, honestly, probably a little bit of both. Probably a little bit of both. But you know what they did? They left their nets in the water. Just left them. Just straight up like their boss, probably not happy. Then they take their boat back to shore. And they're like, cool, Jesus, we're in. Let's go fish for people. Whatever that means. And then there's these two other brothers that are getting their nets ready to go fishing. Slackers, being late. And Jesus is like, hey, you guys, come with me. We're going to go fish for people. And they're like, cool. They drop their nets and they go follow him too. How did they know that they were ready? How did Jesus know that they were ready? How did Jesus even know that he was ready? I mean, yes, Jesus is the Son of God. He is fully God. He's also fully human. That's weird. How did Jesus know he was ready? He didn't start going around and preaching and doing miracles when he was 5 years old. He waited for the right moment when he knew he was ready. Does this mean you need to wait until you're 30? Absolutely not. These four people we just heard in this story, they were your age, middle school age, when they left to go follow Jesus. You can too. It still brings back that question, how do we really know when we're ready? I don't know. I don't think we ever really know. I think it's more important to just be bold and go and do what God is asking us to do than it is to sit and wait to be ready. And I think we can understand that if God is asking us to do something, that it's the right time. Our big idea today, God makes us ready at the right time. I think we're asking the wrong question. Asking the question, am I ready, isn't the right question. The right question is, what is God asking me to do? Way back when my youth pastor was like, hey, go speak, I was not ready. If I was asking the question, am I ready? I would have said no, and I never would have done it. My youth pastor was helping me ask a different question. Is this what God's asking you to do? And it was. It's the question you really need to ask yourself today. What is God asking you to do? Because he makes you ready at the right time. Peace!